everybody, it is the Lawn Gnome, and welcome back to another Funko Pop update over here on this channel. If you have been keeping track of my latest Funko Pop update videos, you know that we are now officially, after today, down to the final 3 Funko Pop update videos. It is very strange and to me a little unsettling that I am recording this video because this was the first time I actually had some time to record, but I happened to be recording on the 24th anniversary of one of the darkest days in American history, September 11th. God bless America. And even stranger to know that now we have just lost a major name in the world of social media and politics, even though he was not a politician. Charlie Kirk was just assassinated on September 10th, 2025, so it is so weird to be sitting down in front of you and trying to give you guys some happiness and some uplifting thoughts and just trying to make you forget about life for a while, but I gotta say that it has been very difficult for me for the last 24 hours just wondering what the world is coming to and how we have drifted so far as people in this incredible country and have gotten so divisive and are hitting each other with such extreme visceral that it just makes me sick to my stomach. I am not someone that tries to do that. I am someone who tries to look for the good in people. I'm someone who welcomes friendly debate, who wants to hear the other side of things outside of my own personal opinions. I am someone who tries not to be an enemy to anybody, but tries to find friends everywhere. But I don't know how many of you watching will even accept that at this point, because I have no idea what we are and where we are. I have gotten much praise for my videos. I have gotten some very nasty comments in my videos over the last almost 16 years of recording, and hate has no place in my channel or in my personal space, but it's not something that I will ever forget because I also know that you cannot be friends with everybody. Some people just want to watch the world burn, regardless of who you are and what you have to say about things. But also, in the world of Funko, it hasn't really been sunshine and unicorns either, because they just recently announced a terrible loss, and they also announced that another line in their world might be coming to an end. Basically, what I've heard is there's a possibility that the NFT line, even though I really didn't have much positive to say about it, is officially going away too, because apparently it can't seem to be sustained. And honestly, it's not a big surprise, because I am shocked by how much money a lot of people spent on a chance. And the other thing that I am hoping for is that the physical NFTs that I personally am still looking for are not going to be difficult to obtain, although the one that I want in my heart of hearts, it looks like I don't think I'm ever going to get it, just because at one point in time I was seeing the 1885 Doc Emmett Brown being on eBay for as little as $100. Now I'm actually seeing it on sale on eBay for no less than $300 or more. So I may have to kiss my dream of completing my Back to the Future set goodbye. And to make matters worse, an even more upsetting piece of Funko news for me personally, one of the biggest announcements that happened, and it actually happened on my birthday, was the announcement of the Funko line for the biggest pop culture phenomenon to hit us all in 2025, and that was the release of the Funko Pop line of K-pop Demon Hunters. Now, I am someone that has been praising that movie to no end. I adore this film. I have seen it multiple times. I reviewed it on our That's Comical channel. I have reviewed it on the second channel that I am a part of, That's Comical, and I even managed to get my hands on a physical copy of the film's soundtrack, which I love to death. I am still hoping and praying that Netflix will allow Sony to make a Blu-ray release of this film, because I want to have a physical copy of this movie, and I am so excited for the sequels to follow. But when they announced the Funko Pop line, I was so disappointed. So disappointed, because I think they could have done so much better. I love these characters, but I didn't really care for the individual Huntrix pops. I really didn't care for the Derpy pop, nor did I even care for the Genu pop. I mean, I was kind of hoping that there was going to be a Saja Boys 5-pack, which I would have been completely interested in getting, or even a pop of Bobby. I am hoping that these Funko Pops of K-pop Demon Hunters will sell, and I'm pretty sure that they will, so we can get brand new lines, because I would love to get these characters in my collection. I love this movie, I love these characters. Hopefully a 3-pack of Huntrix. Hopefully the Saja Boys will get them all, because I really want that to happen. So, Funko, I'm really disappointed. Please do better, because I personally want to put some K-pop Demon Hunter Funko love into my collection, but these ones that you gave us so far are just not doing it for me. But I am also going to start doing something new for the last couple of episodes. Before I get into my collection, the thing that I am hoping for is I can give you guys a showcase of the rest of my collection before I stop talking about Funko over here on this channel. And there are more pre-orders happening, and some more pops have been delivered to my door, so just to be safe, if they arrive, I'll be happy, and if they don't, then at least you'll know that they're coming. Today's topic and theme on my collection is going to be a little bit of a history of the Lawn Gnome, and my love for children's programming and animation. So we're going to see me starting off as a child and going well into my adult years, and an understanding of some of the animation and children's television that I personally took away to heart, as well as some of the stuff that we are introducing to our daughter. And there are, within that theme, some new pops that just got pre-ordered. I am adding to my Animaniacs line, which I'm very happy about. I will be adding Slappy and Skippy Squirrel, which I'm very happy are finally coming. And I also pre-ordered 2 Funko Pops that represent one of the most underappreciated Disney animated classics, and one of my personal favorites. I am adding Milo and Princess Kida from Atlantis the Lost Empire to my collection. And it is so upsetting to me that Kida is a Disney princess, but she is never associated with all the other Disney princesses. And yet, there are some female characters in the world of Disney that are not princesses that are actually associated as Disney princesses. So, the fact that they can be princesses and Kida cannot is a darn shame. But those are my personal thoughts, and if they do arrive, I will definitely showcase them in the last Funko Pop update episode. But in the meantime, that's all I got for you today. Let's take a look at how my collection has been going. So as I said, this is going to be a bit of a Lawn Gnome history lesson going into the world of children's programming that I was exposed to and animated shows that I was enjoying from childhood all the way to adulthood. So they definitely vary, but in all the right ways. So what I want to do first is basically start at the beginning and go to the child-friendly ones. So, no, I was not a child when these 2 specific shows hit the airwaves, but there's a lot to be said about them in regards to me as someone who loves popular culture, and also someone as a proud father who is trying to make sure that his daughter, if she is going to watch TV, is going to get quality and learn from what she is watching, rather than just exposed to brain rot, rather than just being exposed to brain rot, which is why our house is a Cocomelon-free house. So, the first character I want to show you guys is this one right over here. So this, of course, is the Lamb, the legend, Lamb Chop, the puppet that was made famous from ventriloquist extraordinaire Sherry Lewis. I remember when Lamb Chop's Play Along came out on PBS when I was actually 9 years old. And I actually did watch the show because it was not, to me, much of a show for very, very little kids. There were a lot of things that young kids, and even kids going into their teen years, and even kids before their preteen years and tween years could really appreciate. Things like riddles and jokes and magic tricks. Plus, just the idea of ventriloquism is such a talent that a lot of people thought was lost. And then, of course, we would all see on America's Got Talent when Terry Fator would come on the scene and pave the way for a whole new generation of ventriloquist icons, and that's the history. But we gotta remember the originals. And Lamb Chop, I mean, there was a flocked version of this pop, but I love it. This is definitely the personality that encompasses Lamb Chop, the fact that we get the mouth, and I love the texture and all the details, because obviously she is a bunch of socks woven together to make a puppet. But I just love this pop, and we're just so glad to have this in our collection. This is actually one that my wife wanted as well, so this is something that she's very glad to have. As a matter of fact, it is part of her collection, as is this one. So I, of course, also was not someone who watched Blue's Clues when I was growing up, but my daughter is definitely someone who is watching Blue's Clues and You. We actually did showcase our Blue Pop when it came out, but of course they found out that there was going to be a Magenta, and of course that is that is Blue's companion. And I also really appreciate the fact that the sculpt is not exactly the same, even though if you do put the Magenta and the Blue side by side, you definitely know that they are mostly from the same mold, but not entirely. The only thing that's a little bit weird about this is the fact that this Magenta Pop is part of the Blue's Clues and You line, but if you are a parent that is actually showing their children that show, you all know that Magenta has glasses. So this is really more so Magenta from the original Blue's Clues, and not necessarily from Blue's Clues and You. Though there were a few episodes when she didn't have glasses, but in most of the show, Magenta does have glasses. But either way, we were very glad to see that Blue's Clues friends are actually now in pop form. There is even a con exclusive of Steve, which I think is wonderful, and there's even one of Blue in the thinking chair, but we didn't need that because we already had the original Blue Funko Pop, so along with that, Magenta is a wonderful addition. So let's get into around the same time I am in 4th, 5th grade, and the Disney Afternoon airs. Now, I have showcased a few Disney Afternoon Pops from way back in my Funko Pop Update years. I am a proud owner of the Target exclusive Gizmo Duck, as well as the New York Comic Con exclusive of Scrooge McDuck jumping out of a pile of gold, but the Disney Afternoon has had their share of pops come out, but I remember when the original Tailspin line came out, and they didn't make my favorite character, and it was an NFT exclusive, which I was a little upset about, but luckily I was able to find it for a good price on eBay, and it is the greatest villain of the Disney Afternoon. It is Don Carnage. I love this character, and they did not skimp out. Once again, the mouth just does it. The evil grin, especially the damage on his ear. He's holding his sword. I love the details on his outfit. I mean, there's his tail in the back. Also the details on his fingers. I just noticed that because I actually never took him out of the box. This is the first time I took this NFT out of the box, and it was only 2,300 pieces, but I was very glad to get another physical NFT in my collection, because there are some physical NFTs that I really do like, and this is the 4th one in my collection now, so I am very glad to have, finally, Don Carnage, my favorite Tailspin character, in my collection. And I know that there have been so many other Disney Afternoon characters. I mean, I don't really think they ever made Rescue Rangers. They only made a Monterey Jack Pop way back in the day, and it was part of a mystery box from GameStop, but we never really got a full line. And then in this specific line, we also got Fat Cat. But again, I would love to get Chip and Dale as Rescue Rangers. I already have them in regular form, but to have them in Rescue Rangers would be great too. So now let's get into my teen years when my family finally bit the bullet and got cable television, and that was also when Cartoon Network was giving us their legendary cartoons. And once again, Funko has already given us a bunch of Funko Pops. You probably don't even remember the fact that there is a Johnny Bravo. There is a Dexter and Dee Dee from Dexter's Laboratory. There is a Funko Pop line of Cow and Chicken and Courage the Cowardly Dog. But if there was one cartoon from Cartoons that I loved the most, it was Ed, Edd and Eddy. This show was just randomly funny, it was wacky, it had some of the most unusual things take place, but I loved the show, and I loved these characters, and of course, knowing that they finally came out, I had to get all three of the boys. So, Ed, believe it or not, the only one that doesn't have the stand, but they got him perfect. I mean, his mouth. That's the best part that sells it, the mouth. They all have mouths, and this is perfect. The colors, they're perfect. The way that he's standing, perfect. I mean, the hair, when it comes to Funko, much to be desired, and of course the unibrow, they did not skimp out on that. Double D, he's probably the worst looking one of the bunch, but again, still has all his mannerisms. The gap between his teeth, I don't necessarily think he should have been smiling. I think it would have been more if he had a nervous look rather than a smile, but the sock head, perfect. Love the fact that he's got the magnifying glass because he is the smart and inquisitive one. And then we, of course, have Eddie, the hot shot, the schemer. This is perfect. I mean, it would have been much funnier if we had his tongue sticking out because that really was his signature look. But they got his grin perfect. And, of course, my thing that I love the most are the three little indentations in his head. I think they're supposed to be birthmarks, but again, I love his look, and I love that they even got the chain on the side of his pants. I mean, that's the pose that he makes in the opening credits of the show, and also something that I never actually noticed until I opened the boxes is their fingernails. The fingernail detail on all three of them is awesome, and I love that they did that. They really put a lot of tender love and care into this line, and I know so many people that actually went out and got them. And then we get into my adult years. Yes, I actually, through the magic of editing, threw the next box in there because I realized I was missing it. This was when anime was starting to hit big. I was in college when I finally got into Dragon Ball Z, and it finally hit the mainstream like madness, and then all of these other anime shows started being discovered, and a lot of people were watching all different kinds of anime programming, and of course, we just got the announcement that... And of course, last year, Netflix gave us a brand new remake of Ranma 1/2. Now, I love the original series. I own the original series entirely on DVD, but I am not going to lie about the fact that I do enjoy the recreation because one of the few things that it's doing is it's basically taking a lot of the slower episodes out and still holding true to the main storyline of the show. And they're really trying to give us what makes Ranma 1/2 so special from the original series, and I think that they're doing an excellent job. So, of course, I got the first original version of Ranma as a boy. I absolutely love this look. He's in a fighting pose with the flying kick, and of course, the big thing that is important is that they get his braid done correctly. Also, the details on his outfit are perfect, but... this is a very interesting fun fact. I am not one to go out there and look for chases. As a matter of fact, up until this very point, I only had one chase in my entire Funko Pop collection of now over 500 Funko Pops, and it was Woody Woodpecker with a mallet. This is now officially the second time that I went out to get myself a chase, because if I was going to get Ranma from Ranma 1/2, you have to have Ranma in both boy and girl formats. You can't have just one. So, of course, I did a little bit of splurging, and I got the chase of Ranma in female form. Of course, they did a great job. I love the shading of the hair. Once again, the braid, they didn't skimp out on that. And, of course, the female stature of the body sculpt is perfect. And, like I said, there are other characters that they featured in this line. I mean, you can get Ryoga, you can get Shampoo, but I only wanted to get Ranma because I do love this show, and like I said, I cannot get just the boy. I had to hunt down the chase. I paid a little bit more because I wanted to guarantee myself having it, and I am very happy that I have these two in my collection. And once again, very happy to have all of these specific pops in my collection because there's a story to be told and they're all very meaningful, and like most people who collect Funko Pops, it is to remind yourself of times past and remind yourself of days that you didn't have to worry about a lot in this world and just sit in front of the TV and watch some really fun shows. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Please leave a message in the box below. Did I miss anything? And what are you looking forward to in September? I know that we are going to be getting the New York Comic-Con reveals very, very soon. Again, this year was the first time in a while that I actually purchased a con exclusive from San Diego, so I'm really curious to see what New York Comic-Con is going to offer us. But in the meantime, I will see you in the next one. If you enjoyed the video you just watched, feel free to leave a comment. Also, feel free to subscribe if you want to be up to date with our latest videos. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you in the next one. Actions speak louder than words.